All right, guys, welcome back to The Road with Rachel D. That was mixed by DJ Specs. I'm here with my co-host, Miss BJ.
Hello.
Mr. P Money. And our special guest in the building, Miss Brittany Carter.
Hi, guys.
Guys, I had to put on a double mix because we were just talking away. We had some catching up to do. We go all the way back to freshman year in college. Jeez, and we were just talking about so much about what we learned, young and dumb little girls.
Yes.
Have grown, have learned, have went through grief and everything. So I definitely wanted to bring you on the show because you just released your first book.
Yes.
Cry Baby Cry.
Yes.
I thought it was so interesting because, you know, being Facebook friends, you kind of low-key stalk each other.
Right.
And I know that you suffered a tremendous loss a couple years ago. And, you know, just watching you deal with the grief, it was very different because you were very vocal.
Right.
And I know that people were probably opinionated about how vocal you were.
Yes.
And so, you know, last year I lost my father and I was like, wow, I completely understand wanting to get this out and using social media as a platform to be honest about how you feel. Me personally, I still struggle with it.
Right.
I'm still like, one post a month is fine.
Right.
But, you know, you have to really deal with it, and you did. So then you took all that energy and you put it into the book.
Yes.
So let's hear about it.
This book is everything that I've ever wanted to say about life, about love, about loss. Initially you want to think that it's about just the loss of my best friend, and I guess I kind of lead you into that with that story. I tie you in with that, but it was so many layers to what was going on when I lost my best friend. It was I lost her, and then I got into this relationship with this person that I loved, but I couldn't enjoy that relationship because I just lost my best friend. So everything was centered around that loss, and I didn't realize it until I tried to do other things with my life, and it would always take me back to that loss. It was probably the hardest part of my life is because I spent that day with her leading up to her death, and we spent a lot of time together. And we talked about a lot of things, and you just don't expect someone your age, someone who's in the same place in life with you, someone who you just literally dropped off home to get back to her apartment and fall asleep and not knowing that she's not coming back to that spot. So it rocked my world, and like you said, I needed to get it out, and I didn't know how to get it out because no one prepares you for losing anybody, much less your best friend. You know your parents are gonna leave sometime. You don't want to imagine that, but you kind of you prepare yourself as you get older. But somebody the same age as you that's like 4 months apart, you just don't.
Right.
I mean, when it happens, it just took the rug from under me, and I'm a very vocal person, but my what I had to say changed because I could no longer act as if everything was okay. So it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Everything came tumbling down after that. So that's what this book was, to kind of explain the tumbling, to kind of explain the post, to kind of explain the rants. Here's the background story of what all that meant.
Oh, wow. So let me ask you, Brittany, this book, in writing this book and doing it, in a way, did you find like that closure? Did that help you? Was it like a cathartic sense as you were doing the book?
I would like to say for the most part, to be completely honest, like Rachel said, it's still an everyday process. No book can take away from what I experience every day as I try to traverse through life and deal with this loss. But I was able to find healing in writing the story, because when you write a story, you have to go back in it a million times and read it. And as I edited this story that I know like the back of my hand, I almost had to heal because it was something that I saw repeatedly all the time, and I would take breaks, but those breaks wouldn't change what I knew. So it was an inevitable healing process, because as I talk about my pain and I'm trying to walk other people through that pain, I have to talk about some type of healing or reconciliation, the reconciliation with what has happened. So there was a healing as far as making peace with what was lost, but there'll never be like a full closure of something. That void will always be there. So, but I made peace with that void, and that's the most important part of the journey.
Yeah.
Well, when we were talking offline, you also mentioned that there's more to the book than just the loss of your best friend.
Right.
What else can people expect?
The biggest part is I wanted to bring love in. And I feel like love drives every story. Like, there's always that underlying love there. And this book talks about the relationship I was in. He was like a best friend as well. He was there for me when she died. He went to the funeral with me. He's Priestley in the book. He's okay with being called Priestley. So it talks about just dealing with that. As I lost her, we got in this relationship. The relationship ended 3 months. We got in a relationship 3 months after she died. A month later, it ended. We had been friends for like almost 3 years. So we're like, how does a friendship that lasts for 3 years, a relationship can't outlast a month? And then I just packed up everything. I was like, okay, I'm done with Savannah. I'm done with that life. I packed up everything and moved to Atlanta. And I don't know why people think when they pack up and move to Atlanta, like their life is just going to change instantly. Newsflash, it doesn't instantly change. You have to do the work for it to change. But I came here and I tried to leave that alone. But your heart never forgets where it broke, nor does it forget where it was picked up. And he picked up so many pieces, so it was kind of hard to ignore his place. And I wanted to write a book clear of him, but it just wasn't possible. And even in my acknowledgments, I say it's impossible to write a book and not include you in that story. And so that story is the one that everybody, after they read the book, they call me and be like, wait, I want more. I'm like, hold on, time out. That's all I could give you right now. That's it's a current story. And one of the last chapters I wrote was called The Cover Up. And it basically talked about him, and it talked about losing G and trying to find peace with both of those things. Both of my best friends were now out of my life. To bring you up to speed, he blocked me a year into their faces. A year, almost into G's anniversary. He blocked my number. And I was just like, hold on.
What?
I was like, hold on, Jesus. Wait a minute. What, how does this work, Lord?
Right.
And for a whole year, I was blocked. No communication. Life happened. Her anniversary came. Things happened, and I couldn't call that one person. And that was the hardest thing, because it's like one thing, okay, G's not coming back, but this person is still alive. You can answer my calls.
Right.
Why aren't you? It didn't make sense to me. But I talk about just getting up from both of those things and being able to move forward. No matter what life throws at you, you have to find a way to move forward.
So is the book more of like a narrative, or is it a memoir? Is it a self-help? Yeah.
It's all of those, actually. It gives you a walk through those events, but it also gives you like my thoughts as those things are going on. But it also helps. It's a self-help for myself and for other people. So it's like all those things joined together to bring a guide to not telling you how to deal with it, just telling you how I dealt with it. And hoping that the way I dealt with it, you'll find something in there, pick something out that works for you, and use it in your own routine to move forward through whatever the situation is, because everyone hasn't lost a best friend. That's why the book had to be more about life instead of just that loss. I wanted it to be for everybody. So anybody who picks up the book should be able to find something in there that they can identify with, because we've all experienced pain on some level to some degree. It may not be the loss. I also talk about sexual abuse, being abused as a child, sexually abused as a child. So there's something for everybody in there. And that's why I really don't want people to just be like, oh, it's a book about her best friend. Okay, well, I haven't lost a best friend, so never mind. It's for everybody.
For everybody. Oh, wow.
Let me tell you, how hard was it for you to be very transparent? You know?
It was almost impossible, but I knew that my transparency was going to bring me to moments like this, where someone, if it's just one person, that's always been my thing. If it's just one person who can read something I write or hear something I say and their lives be changed and they can find a way to move on, then it's worth it to me. And luckily, I've been able to touch more than one. But being transparent is something that a lot of people just aren't comfortable with doing. Whereas with me, it's not something I'm necessarily comfortable with, but it's a charge that I took, and I took it seriously. And it has opened up doors where I'm able to talk to people, and they're able to open up with me because they see that I'm not this person who they think I am. Really, I'm actually just like everyone else, and I've overcome so many things, and that's why I'm so passionate about whatever I say, whatever comes out of my mouth. There's a passion behind it because of everything that I've endured. So
I love that. And you know, self-help books, they are very helpful. Like, I used to read them back in the day when going through stuff. And it was the whole idea of, okay, I'm not alone in this. Like, I'm reading this, and this person has gone through exactly what I'm going through, and they made it through, and they're able to talk about it. So that gives hope.
Right.
So I always love those type of books, and they are very helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
But no, I think it's so exciting. You know, that, first of all, that alone really inspires me, because I always wanted to write a book by the time I was 30 and talk about, you know, the stuff we talked about offline and how to get past heartache and, you know, get your career back on track when you fall in love with somebody that knocks you off your plan and everything. And, you know, a lot of times I do personally wrestle with the idea of putting so much out there, because there's a lot of stuff that people don't know. And you don't, you know, want them to judge you. But it is very helpful, because, like, when we talked offline, so much in common. And we know each other, but we never had this conversation before, so it can reach people. So I think you're doing an amazing job by doing that.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Can you tell everybody where they can find out more information about your book?
Absolutely. It is currently on Amazon.com. I have both the ebook and the paperback. Brought the paperback so you guys can see the cover. Love it. They are. You go on the website. You can order them, and also. You can email me if you have any questions. In the book, I give you information on how to get in touch with me. But Amazon is the place to go, and it's there. The reviews are there. They speak for themselves. People are excited about it. I'm excited about it. It's a great book. I'm glad it's over. I'm glad I finally got it out. So, you know, now people can read and ask questions, and I can kind of gauge them with that. So, you know, it's there. It's ready to be read. So,
how long did it take for you to put it all together?
It took me 1.5 years to write it, because I took breaks, serious breaks, because I just couldn't. It was times where literally some of these chapters, that's why I named it Cry Baby Cry, is because most of these chapters I was literally crying as I'm typing on the laptop, like I'm about to mess these keys up, because I had to get it out. Like I felt like in the middle of the night I'd jump out of the bed and be like, okay, I gotta write this, and I would be so conflicted because it was such hard information to talk about and to remember and to write about that I couldn't. It was very difficult. But I would jump out of the bed and start typing, and it started off as just angry thoughts to God, like, listen, I'm not really feeling you right now. So that's what it started off as, and then I began to cultivate it and add things in there. And as the journey, I had to journey through these things before I could write about them. So everything I talk about is something I was either going through or I got through, and I put in the book. So it's not something that happened so long ago that it's history. It's actually, this book is current. This is how it is, what it is. My last chapter was written like May of this year. I had to go back in the book and add something else that I didn't want to add. But, you know, it's just a part of the journey. When you have information and you feel like it's relevant to what you're saying, you have to give it. So.
Yeah.
So real quick, what's the current status of you and that guy?
We're friends. We're cordial. Like, I'm not blocked no more, y'all. If he's listening to this, he's going to be so embarrassed. But we're friends. We're business partners. He's actually a photographer, so he's going to be doing some photography work. He's supposed to read the book. I hope when he reads the book that will, you know, give him an insight on my side of how things were. But we're cordial, and that's a blessing, because, you know, when you blocked, you don't never know when that unblock gonna happen or if it's gonna happen. So it's just a blessing to be able to communicate to in any level at this point. So.
Absolutely. Well, Brittany Carter, thank you so much for joining us. We definitely look forward to reading your book. I am. I absolutely am. And Ms. BJ, Kimani, you have any questions?
I can't wait to read it.
I can't either.
So yeah, like I said, I did reach out onto Amazon, and it's great reviews on it. So it definitely feels like something that, like she said, is for everybody. So everyone who reads it, no matter what path they're going on, can pull something from this book to help them. So yeah.
What's next? Will there be a sequel?
That's what everybody keeps asking. I have to wait on my orders. Everything is governed by God. So when he tells me to move, that's when I move. So when I get to that point, there will be a book. I know there's going to be another. I'm just waiting on what he wants me to write about. So.
All right, sounds good. Now I want you to stay here,
okay?
Because we have more show that we want to involve you in.
Okay.
You're very opinionated, very high spirited, and we love it. All right, guys, you're listening to The Real with Rachel D. Make sure you keep it here. Up next, we have a mix by DJ Jack Knight.